Martin Nalowski from Czech Republic, Max Nymark from Finland, Lucas Meyer from Italy, and Luke Webb, our Aussie in the business.
Aussie, we got the Aussie crasher, folks.
Yeah, and it goes over the Swiss Ice Cross raclette floater, as it is called.
I like that. And Martin coming in second.
Losing the picture. Where are they? And Max Nymark comes out in front. That's actually not surprising because he did have the best time of those 4 people. And now the jump. These rollers are very tricky to land. You can see you jump from top down. You have a very short landing. And over the course of the race, you will see a lot of carnage there.
Very cool pumping at the end, eh? It looks like those guys were pumping up a flat wheel on their car tire. Beautiful. Aussie crasher, the Bogan, coming in third, but also charging around the corner to finish.
G'day guys, how you going? Aussie Crasher here. We are onto our next race. So this one, we are in the round of 32 for Pra Loup, France. This race was put on by the Swiss and French federations in collaboration. And I have to say, check out that view. That is most amazing view. Up there, definitely top 3, top 4 views we've ever seen from a track. Quick update on this one. If you haven't seen my previous, where I raced through the LCQ to make to the finals, just up here, show you exactly how I got to the position I am in now. So this one, I am racing against Martin Navlovsky from Czech Republic, Max Nymark from Finland, and Lucas Meyer from Italy. First things first, gate choice. On this one, I picked the far left gate. It gave me a straight line into this little curve into the floater, and then it makes it really easy to set up for the chicane section, which is probably one of the most important sections on this track. With your best chance of overtaking, because it's the one where I guess the skill sets would separate the amount of speed you can take through there. It's much nicer if you know you can trust your edges because you have a good line without carving too much ice and losing too much speed. I have to say, it is the best thing after the previous few years of racing with no crowds allowed to see people back at the track. This was fantastic to see people lining the track. It just gives you a bit more hope and inspiration, and obviously gets you really amped up to push as hard as you can. Not so much just for there's people watching, but just the energy the crowd give is fantastic and really gets you ready to push hard and race hard. And if anything, it's either you make it through a round or you crash. Either of those two, people are going to enjoy it. So either way, anyone that watches this is having fun. If you ever get a chance to head out to a track to watch it, I'd recommend. But if you get a chance to race it, I'd definitely say do it, because you never know unless you give it a try. And it's quite rare to find someone to get on one of these tracks and actually hate it at the end. So for this round of 32, it was a bit different from the LCQ in my previous episode. Obviously, with the weather issues they had over the weekend, they had to close some lines for the previous racing. But for this one, the whole track is open. So the optional line is open after the tabletop. Start gate here. Again, on rubber mats. We use rubber mats because sometimes it's hard to ice the start gate. This track was actually built up on wood to get the little drop in, and it's incredibly difficult to actually ice that up. Not only because it mightn't stick, and we've actually had issues where you have the ice that chips off the wood and falls off and you end up just having bare wood, but also as this was built up on wood, you can actually have the wind which goes underneath the track itself, so it gets melted from both angles, which is not great if it's going to get beat up. See some further races in this season, the actual damage the start gates get just from starting, it's incredible how much they get chewed up, and it's quite nice to have a surface you're going to start on which is consistent between rounds. Some people mightn't like it because you can't really get the perch you want, but it is really nice to just have a consistent start surface between each round. And let's start with the favorite part of the race, the 5-second warning, the most stressful and most peaceful moment of any time you're on skates.
Rider, ready? 5 seconds warning.
Out of the gates, a little bit slow. I had an issue on this track where I was sitting quite far back in the start gates, and they're a solid wall start gate. They had the starting referee actually in the far right of the track in line with the start gate. It's quite hard to hear them from that far left gate. I actually heard the start signal from the reverberation of the speakers, not directly from the start signal itself. Some other tracks will have starting referee slightly in front of the track, in front of the start line, so everyone can see and hear. Some other races, they have them directly behind, in the middle as well, so everyone can hear. Not my best gate choice on that aspect, but again, I had different ideas in my head and it just didn't play out, unfortunately. So we dropped down. Nalowski and Nymark got absolutely hammered out of those gates. As soon as they hit the ice, they were striding. I kind of drop in, get settled and get some strides in. You'll see as well that Lucas, absolutely fantastic start, pulling in front, but I wasn't too worried. I knew I had to wait on these guys, so I knew this top section of the track, I'd have a bit of a higher top speed before we get into the chicanes, so I had a plan. We'll see if it works out. But perfect jump over there. So the guys in front absolutely sailed it. The whole point of this jump is just get down, scrub it, travel the least distance you can and just land flat on your feet and then just set up for this next section. So I actually ended up having the speed over Lucas in this section, and it played out perfectly because I was able to get in front, set myself up for a defensive line, and actually block him. Situated in the middle of the track here. In my previous race, I was quite left coming up into these chicanes. This one's planted myself smack bang in the middle, so it makes it more difficult for Lucas to try and take an inside line. If he did take that inside line, it would really ruin his line through these chicanes. But the boys in front going hard. I'm happy with where I'm sitting. And at this point in my head, I just knew I had to catch these guys. Happy with how I went through the chicanes. I could have gotten a bit lower. Again, not really the most confident on my edges, unfortunately, while ice skating. I don't spend a lot of time on ice skates. When you have to do a section of a track, you require so much trust on your edges. It is a bit nerve-wracking. Those corners get chewed up pretty quickly, and it does not take a lot to kick your ice skates out of the ice and end up going down. Over the tabletop here, the boys starting to get a bit close, a bit of pushing and shoving, which works for me because I was hoping they could actually tie each other up and just slow themselves down a little bit, just enough for me to be in the game. I could see from this point that they were not taking the optional line. The optional line is the one on the left here, which is a straight line to the doubles. For this race, they widened out the chicane section so that wasn't so much of a chicane. It was could straight line it a lot more, so it was less of a penalty to take the chicane. I believe they were saying it was faster to take the chicane at this point in the track with the modifications they made. In my head, I'm not catching them if I take the same line. I had to make a decision to try something different, and this was it. It was take that optional line and hope that it gets me closer. So yeah, they're battling out, take the optional line, and then I do catch a little bit, and then it's just over the doubles here and try and make as much power around this corner as I can. Little strides. It's a bit awkward crossing over on a berm like that. Not something you can really train too much on ice skates, but just getting anything to get a little bit more speed in to try and catch up in that end section of the track is what I needed. I wasn't unhappy with how that felt. It was feeling good, but I just knew that the boys in front of me were quick, so I had to try everything. Get in the flat, stride my heart out, and unfortunately just not fast enough to make it through to the round of 16. But it was a fantastic race. I was happy with how I raced. I was happy with the decisions I made on the track. I was happy with the track itself. They did a fantastic job for the weekend. Like, it was a fantastic way to finish it. Everyone raced well. It was clean. It was fast. Nobody fell in our race, which was fantastic to see. So that is how my Pra Loup race series ended for the 2023 ATSX Ice Cross series. If there's any questions you want to know about the racing or decisions that I make on the track, any safety gear you want to know, just anything about ice cross itself or any downhill ice skating, feel free to reach out, or please like, subscribe, and I'll be back with the next race, which was in Quebec, Canada. And this one is a doozy. It is a one-of-a-kind track. It is the coldest race we've ever had, and it really did throw some spanner in the works. It was fantastic to try, and yeah, I look forward to running you through how that went.